Mauricio Mejia Live. Entertainment guru, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, author, and speaker. It's Mauricio Mejia Live. Bringing to you real people, real day-to-day life experiences, and real business opportunities. If you dare to step up. Do you have what it takes to take it to the next level and become who you are truly destined to become? Decide, commit, execute. Join the thousands of viewers around the world and become a part of the conversation. Mauricio Mejia Live.
All right, 1 2 1 2. How is everyone feeling out there today? Happy Wednesday. It is Mauricio Mejia Live, Season 2, episode number 25. Wow, can you believe it? 25 weeks of Season 2 in. 2021 has been an interesting year so far, and again, it's been amazing. We started this back in 2020, did 30 episodes back then, and we're doing another 30 this year. We got 5 more to go, and then we're going to be taking a quick break and then start working on season number 3. But again, I want to welcome everyone to Mauricio Mejia Live, season number 2, episode number 25 tonight. Yes, we do it every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the West Coast and 9 p.m. on the East. Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. That's right. We're broadcasting on 3 platforms. That's Facebook, Twitch, and on YouTube. So we broadcast every week live from our studios here in downtown San Jose, heart of the Silicon Valley. That's right. We do it here live in the Silicon Valley. And again, just excited to be sharing, awesome experiences with great entrepreneurs, real estate moguls, political leaders, stock advisors, fitness and entertainment gurus. Every week, we want to keep it fresh and exciting. And again, tonight, we're on episode number 25, and we'll be wrapping up season 2 with episode 30. So tonight, it's my pleasure to be bringing on this great human being. He was, we have a great history. We got a 20-year plus friendship. We met back at San Jose State, and we had a great college experience. We'll talk about that, what it was like to be roommates and friends during that college experience, and a lot of other great things, and catch up where he's at. So tonight it's my pleasure to be bringing on Peter Mellado. He is a writer, a publisher, and a producer. And we could be asking, like, well, what did he write? What did he publish? And what did he produce? Well, there's a lot of things and a lot of great things that he's done to make a big impact in our community, not just in local, but regional, but, global. I want to say that we've made a global impact around the world. So Peter currently oversees a production of Technica magazine. It's a pretty dope magazine. I've read it. Unfortunately, I don't get it on a regular basis, but when I do see it, I get to enjoy the articles and the production that goes behind it. He produces the HENAC Awards for Great Minds in STEM, and I've had the honor, actually, I think it's now for the last 10 years, every time during October, we go and we work together. And the last time we were, I think it was in Pasadena or in Orlando. I know that we've traveled. It's a traveling award show, and we've had some great times. Unfortunately, last year with COVID, we were not able to produce the show live, and this year is going to be a hybrid, or I think actually it's going to be a virtual one until next year, 2022. So I'm looking forward to getting back on this with him and making things happen. So he's a founder of Rigo magazine. He serves as an editor at large at Occupy Democrats. I've seen great articles that have been written out of that group, and he's written some of those great articles. So I'm glad to. We're going to talk about some of that stuff, hit some of the politics, not go too deep into politics because we don't want to fire up all the right wingers out there. Because my boy definitely knows how to fire them up. His writing continues to be published in a variety of online and print publications, including Technica magazine, which he is, he oversees the production. Latin Life or LatinLive.com. That's a company that I'm co-founder in. We do some great articles of the Latino community and Latino culture, and also has been published in the Washington Journal. So without further delay, it is my pleasure to be bringing on a good friend of mine, Peter Mellado. Peter, what's up, bud? How are you?
How we doing, brother? Good to be on.
Good, man. Thank you so much. you know me, man. I'm always going hard, and today's just been one of those days, and my energy is just like, and I'm like, I just maybe need to drink some water or so. But I pull it together because this is important to me, and it's great to have you. You're one of my close friends. Where all the skeletons are hidden. We've had some good times, man. Like I shared earlier, we go back 20 years, man. 1996, because man, college, San Jose State University, man. How are you tonight? 25. There, yeah. Wow, crazy, man. Crazy, man. How you been, though, man? How's everything? Congratulations on the new baby. I was backstage. I got to see your little girl. She's amazing. It's great to see. Great to see her, Catherine. Right? That's her. Did you spell it with a C or a K?
With a K. With a K.
With a K. There you go. All right. All right. Hello, you there? All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're probably getting a delay. Okay, good. Yeah, no, we're getting a delay, so maybe it's our internet right now. But anyway, Peter, it's great to have you here on the show, man, and I'm excited. I obviously that I'm winding down the show, season 2, and we're on episode 25 tonight. No reason why I'm putting you on 25. It's just it's just the way it's working out, and I'm excited to have you here. And I want to share with the audience, people that are watching around the world, what does Peter Mellado do? Where you got all started? We're talking tonight about you being a writer, a publisher, and producer, and we want to hit all three of those. And want to start with give us a little bit of background on who you are, and start from the beginning.
Yeah, thanks, Mauricio, and again, thanks for having me on. And yeah, man, there's so many places we can start, right? But I think the best way I can capture it is by saying, I figured out pretty early on what I was good at, and what I was good at was writing and communicating, and I was able to articulate kind of complex positions and opinions about issues and put it in a way that a lot of people understood, and that really connected with people of different backgrounds, right? So it wasn't just people in academia, it wasn't just people in one particular field. It was I learned early that was something that I was pretty good at. And so the next challenge was, okay, so how do you take that and make a living out of it, right? Make a little money, try to pursue success, try to create some goals around that, and some aspirations around that. And how do you leverage that to really kind of build a life and build a career and build a vision for how you want to leverage this skill that you kind of figure out that you have. And in the meantime, you got to refine the skill, you have to enhance it, you got to learn new ways to apply it. And so my first good idea was to get into magazines. So in 1999 we founded Technica magazine, which profiles Hispanic engineers and scientists, and that has a national distribution now, and we've gone completely online, but it was in print up until 2017. And after that, it was, okay, I can do the production part of it, I can do the magazine part of it, but I really want to tell stories, right? And so with the HENAC Award Show, as you know, it's all about telling the stories of these amazing award winners and packaging it into an event, a live event, something like the Oscars or the Emmys on a much smaller scale, obviously. And so that's where you came in, because you and I have a background of doing events. Nightclubs are a little bit different, concerts are a little bit different, but there's a lot of overlap, right? A lot of skill sets that apply from one to the other. So, I was able to help build that brand and build that platform, and it's now in its 33rd year. I haven't done it all 33 years. Wow. But, we took it over in about 2002, I think, and I've been building it ever since. And so. After that, it was about trying to figure out what was next. And I learned, I'm a big lover of history. I was a history major in college. And I want to tell stories about our people, about Hispanics, about Hispanic people, about, Latin American history. And so I started looking for different stories to tell about, really prominent issues and historical events that really affect Latinos. And so after lots of kind of soul searching, and I realized the story I wanted to tell was one I hadn't seen anywhere in Hollywood, anywhere on TV, and that was the story of Spanish conquest of the Aztecs.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to tell that story, and I'm like, okay, do I write a screenplay? Do I write a television series? How do I do that? So I had to learn about screenwriting, which is, it's writing, but it's got its own rules. It's got its own dimensions on a canvas. And so, I had to go dive into that world, and that kind of put my toe into Hollywood. And now I'm sort of, 2-3 feet into the pool. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet, but that's the next challenge, right? So that's the best way I can explain it. It's figuring out what I was kind of pretty good at, and then learning how I could leverage that into a career.
Mm-hmm. I know that we talked about, you mentioned the entertainment stuff. I mean, I remember when we started college together. I remember our first event that we actually got to work on, and that was actually when you were having the HENAC Awards here in San Jose. I remember that was a pretty big event for Silicon Valley, and I don't know if they were having it prior, but that's when we first started working together. And I remember our first event we put together back in 1996. I still have the flyer, actually framed it, Unity 96. And I know that was kind of one of our first experiences working together. And it was kind of an amazing one to really learn and see how our work ethic was. And it's great to see that you've continued to have that strong work ethic in all the different things that you've done moving forward. I know that you've had a strong work ethic in producing the HENAC Awards on a yearly basis. And it's crazy, 33 years, man. We've been doing it. What year did you take it over when you mentioned?
2002.
2002. And I think that probably a year or two after that, or a couple years after that, is when I started helping you out. And I know I've been doing it for the last 10 years now. At least, and that's just been crazy, man. Just to see where it's gone, and then to see how you've grown as well as a writer, and then to see that you come out with your script, and then you win an award. You get recognized globally, where you get an award for that. I mean, that's all those things. I mean, is that what was the inspiration of getting you to start writing? Because you've always been a writer. I mean, even in college, man, you were always writing, and you always seem to have just taken it to the writing. I know writing was one of my weaknesses.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I might have written a paper or two for you, or quote unquote edited a paper.
Right. Yeah, of course you helped out. I'm.
Yeah. No, look, I'm blessed with a couple of things. Number one, my mother was a writer. She doesn't write professionally anymore, but she did at one point. I was imbued with this love of reading, and this curiosity about history. Both my grandfathers were World War II veterans, so I think that early on triggered my interest in World War II first, but then and then it was World War I and the Civil War and everything else, and just global politics in general. So I've always been interested in those things. If my interests were music, or if my interests were, film for like a film critic, then maybe my writing would have taken me that way. Or if my interest was journalism, maybe my writing would have taken me that way. But my interest was always history, and always, telling stories of our people, right? Of people that we don't see. The stories of people that aren't told in mainstream American media. So that was always where my interests kind of took me, and that's kind of where I followed them. But yeah, man, going back to 96, the event we did at the Fairmont, that was one of those things where I think both of us, what that event did for us was it kind of proved to us that we could do these big things, right? I think you and I, like everybody when they're 19, they talk a big game, and they brag about what they're going to do, and they brag about, kind of what their ambitions and their dreams are. But when we actually put something together that was that big and that successful for 19-year-olds anyway, I think we looked at each other and said, oh, crap. I mean, we can do this. We're not just talk,
Yeah, that was some crazy times, man. I remember putting that thing together, and we had big dreams. I mean, we've always been big thinkers, big dreamers, and, both growing up in Los Angeles. That's another part, being grew up in neighborhoods and not necessarily the neighborhoods, but just being a part of growing up in Los Angeles, big city, big thinking, big vibes. It was part of the roots of what gave us, that platform or that springboard to take it to the level that we did, and to come to San Jose, we call it Little LA. It was interesting to see that we were able to implement something that nobody could imagine. They only thought about it. And to say that at 19 years old, man, we did some amazing things. We pioneered. I think that we're pioneers in this area of a lot of the things that today are still are holding down. I mean, when it comes to entertainment, I mean, who would have thought two 19-year-olds would have put together Unity 96? We didn't even know what to expect, and the minute we opened up the doors, there's 1,000+ people trying to get in, and we have the fire department that gets called in, and we're like, we got to keep this party going on, and they're like, no, you're gonna shut this party down. We're like, no, we're not gonna, you're gonna piss off 1,000+ people. And I mean, it was crazy. It was fun. We broke a lot of barriers, and not only that, but again, just to show that at that age, we were already thinking big, and look where we're at today.
I think you would agree with this statement. I think we brought a kind of just a different way of looking at things, and I think we realized the talent that was in San Jose more than the people in San Jose realized. Right? I think because we had this background in LA, and you were much deeper in the club scene down here than I was, but I had tiptoed in. I was kind of sitting back and watching and observing and taking notes. And so, when we got together and decided to do events and apply that LA flavor, I think we were both shocked by the DJ talent and the ear and the taste of the audience. Right? They were craving for this stuff. We didn't invent anything. We just brought in a few good San Jose DJs and kind of applied the LA sound and the LA method of promoting, and it took off because that's what the people were hungry for, and they were
I agree. And I think that's what we springboarded, and that's what gave, obviously really launched my career in nightlife, where it just from becoming a promoter to then becoming a producer side by side, and then catching the attention of these big operators, and then really opening up myself to a lot of other opportunities. So a lot of things that we got to experience, and as well for you, I mean, it got to open up some opportunities and some skill sets that it woke up. I mean, it woke up the entrepreneurship in both of us, really did, because we really, I mean, for me, that was truly one of my first, my own with you, but really my own event, because I've always worked with other teams. And then to see now where we're at, man, it's just crazy, man. It's always good to look back and reflect on the things that we've done, and then to look back to even recently, publishing 2 books. Smoke and Mirrors and Decide, Commit, Execute. One is a autobiography on me and my life, and then the second one on my business mindset. And I know that you and I are working together. Hopefully, we'll get some traction on it, but developing the movie script for Smoke and Mirrors. So, because I do, with your talent and the way that you visualize things, I think that it could be one of your hit scripts in your portfolio, man. So,
as long as you don't insist on casting yourself as the lead role, I think you're gonna be in good shape, brother.
No, I'm doing a cameo. I'm just gonna do a cameo. I'll be the door guy. That way, Oh man. So again, I know that you went back after college days. You went back home. You obviously went. You helped the family business, and you went. Again, you're the entrepreneur, the business in you. I think that it roots back to your family. I mean, I know that both your parents, are business people, business owners, and they're entrepreneurs in their own way as well. And you guys have managed a family business. But aside from that, going and taking the HENAC awards. I mean, you took it to the next level. A lot of big thinking went into that as well, and it grew from where it was at back then to now. I mean, that thing it's humongous.
No, it is, and it's a huge operation. I produce one part of it. It's the most visible part of it, but there's a massive infrastructure behind all of that. we have a development office where they're cultivating these relationships with Boeing and NASA and Lockheed Martin and IBM and all the biggest sponsors you can think of, right? Google and Apple and you name it, they're all sponsors. And so there's this whole infrastructure where they're, people on our team that are cultivating these relationships and leveraging them and convincing those companies and those sponsors to buy into this vision of diversity and inclusion and celebrating all the different roots of all of the different winners and finding excellence in their own organization that reflect the Hispanic community. And so, there's a K through 12 component, there's a scholarship component for college students, there's college students all over the country who buy into this vision and who come to the conference. So, I'm very fortunate. I get to produce, like I said, the most visible part of this operation. And sort of the legacy component of it, right? This is the thing that people take home. But these winners, we always say these winners are the ones that are really doing all the work. I mean, you have some of the best engineers and scientists in the world who are Latinos. And I get to tell their stories every year. I think that's pretty cool. That's one of the blessings of my work.
Oh, I've had a good time, and I've got to meet some very great people. I got to enjoy meeting the CEO of Lockheed Martin. She's an amazing human being. I got to meet a lot of other great people in different spaces, and it just feels good to be a part of that. And then it just keeps it keeps my skill set sharp every time that I would travel and help out and really participate in that. And then just really to see all the young and upcoming faces that were their mindset is set in that space, STEM, and really where they're going, and the struggles that they share, just to be a part of that and to see what the struggles of their families, to make sure that they had an opportunity at that table to share their stories. So that is just in itself, it's very eye-opening and very very great to see, because a lot of things that I've done now, after I retired from the nightlife career and back in 2008-9, I really started to do things more about making an impact versus something that was self-serving. We got to work together on the Cesar Chavez breakfast, or the Chavez Family Vision breakfast. We took that, from a 200 to a 500 person, and then took it to a full-on production where we've set the tone for the rest of their breakfasts. And again, it just feels good to be continuing to make an impact and to be able to look back and say, man, we did something. We made an impact while we were here on this planet, and we continue to. I'm looking forward to getting back to when, as soon as this we're fully opened, again, it's been crazy what's been happening. I've read some of your posts, and and it's just interesting to see how the country stands right now. I hate to use the word divided, but just where it stands, and where you would think that educated people, and again, there's educated people on both sides, but it's just interesting to see that middle part, just the things that come out, and then the things that are being shared out there in the world. It's just crazy, man, to see. And then share with us a little bit of what you do with the Occupy Democrats, because I've seen some of their stories, and some of them. It's pretty interesting to see. I know you've had some of your stuff published on them. Share with us your visions on that. And I don't want to go too hard into politics. Oh, we lost Peter here. All right. Let's see. Pete. All right. Let's see when Pete gets back on. We just lost him. We've been having some problems. I don't know if it's what's going on with this our internet here, but we've been having some issues here. Hopefully he'll get back on. But anyways, we're just touching base here on Peter Mellado, who's based out of Los Angeles. He's a writer, he's a publisher, and a producer, and we've had the privilege of working together on many projects, and have a long friendship and relationship going on, for many years. And again, we're just going to wait for him to get back on really quick. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to jump on and ask the questions. Let me know where you're connecting from, where you're watching, give you guys a quick shout out. Here we go. Pete's back on. There we go. Hey, don't worry, man. It happened. Hey, I have to share with you. I remember my first season on episode number 10, which was like a big one for me. I had Stedman on the show, and I mean, it was a straight classic. I mean, the show was like off the chart, and right in like 10 minutes into the show, it cuts off, and I'm like, oh man, and it was my first one. I'm like, of course it has to happen on the big one, right? On the 10th one, and so I remember.
You remember when the teleprompter gave out at the award show, right?
Oh,
the 25th anniversary.
Hey, and we have to adjust. We have to pivot. It's the show must go on. So I didn't even freak out. I'm like, oh, he'll be back on right now, but let me carry on the show. But it happens, and if you panic, normally when you don't have the experience is when you panic. But if you can keep it cool, calm, and collective, then things happen and the show goes on. But I
got the question though about Occupy Democrats. Yeah,
go for it. Share with us.
Occupy Democrats was founded by two Latinos. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't even know that. Wow. Okay.
Twin brothers, Omar and Rafael Rivero. Their mom is Mexican. They grew up in Mexico. They moved here because their parents wanted to give them better opportunities. So they moved here when they were kind of, I think 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that. They both went Ivy League and got involved in politics early and saw what was going on. So they're kind of visionaries. They saw what was going on social media before a lot of other people did. They realized that social media had become this battlefield where all of the ideas were being fought over, and whoever could command that high ground of social media was going to have an edge in the political dialogue and in the grand debates of our day, right? And so they started Occupy Democrats. First, it was about memes. They're two very smart, very witty guys, and so they figured, look, let's just publish memes, and other people can share them on social media. And they were a little bit shocked, I think, by how popular their content was, because it took off. It just went crazy. So then they formed that into a much larger organization, and then they moved down to LA and opened up a newsroom, and that's when I got involved with them and became a staff writer and then a columnist, and now I kind of have just kind of an advisory role with what they do. But their idea is simple. It was, listen, social media is where these debates are playing out, and we have to have a presence. We have to supply the content to the the intellectual firepower of the liberal mindset, of the liberal worldview of this idea where America is a place for everybody. And we have to give people on social media the intellectual ammunition to go out and have these debates with their own circles. So that was their vision. And, I came in kind of much later than they started it. And now, I work with the editor-in-chief, Colin Taylor, and Rob Haffey, and some other staff writers now, and just kind of, I do a little curating. I'll write a column every now and then, but we're just kind of, my role is just to kind of give input and give advice and keep it going. And it's super partisan. Obviously, it's probably overly partisan. It's probably more partisan than I'm comfortable being. But that's the medium, right? That's what's going on social media. And as long as the other side is putting out their propaganda, I think we have a duty to counter that and put out the truth as we see it.
Right. Yeah, it's a battle of the facts. And I think
that's something that's different. Yeah, that's what's changed, I'd say, in the last 5 years. It's before it was whose interpretation of the facts makes the most sense. Now we can't even agree on the facts.
Right. Yeah, it's all ass backwards. I mean, it's just really it's one of those where you're just all the labels that are being put, left winger, right winger, liberal, conservative. I mean, ultra conservative, ultra liberal. I mean, there's just so much extremes, and I've always considered myself a moderate, down the middle. I look at some of the Republican beliefs, and then I look at some of the Democrat beliefs. I don't necessarily agree extreme either side. I just just what common sense, well, at least in what my interpretation is of common sense. And but it's just crazy to see that, you know, even with the last administration, what we had, it just seemed that it went so extreme right. And then now people are saying that it's so extreme left. And really, I don't look at the current administration as extreme left. I look at it more just bringing it back towards the center. And but now you have both extreme right and extreme left that they create all this propaganda, and then you all the facts get lost, and then there's the moderate Republicans, the moderate Democrats, to try to keep it together, but it's just so hard because there's just so much hate and anger and pain, a lot of pain that has been inflicted by both sides. And then you don't have a way to bring that peace together. And I think that's when you get we're so divided. Well, there is division, but then, you know, I know that I have a lot of Republican friends that, you know, we get to have conversations that, unfortunately, you know, we're you know, those are not the conversations that are out there being shared on media, because, you know, there's the extreme right media, and then there's the extreme left media, and then there's the media that's trying to be fair and in the middle. But it's just we're in a tough place right now, Pete. I mean, I think as we get older as well, we get to our mindset and our thought processes are also changing, because this is not nothing new that I haven't heard. We've heard, I think I was hearing this when I was young growing up, that you know, there was always some kind of disagreement, you know, in the political world. But I think now it's just, you know, our generation is really, and with the technology that we have, we've amplified that. I mean, this is just bananas, the way that it's been amplified too. I mean, we didn't have, you know, when we were doing parties and promotions, we were passing out flyers. You know, it cost money to, you know, 10,000 flyers. We were trying to be strategic on where we dropped them off. Here, you just blurb it out, and, you know, all it takes is one post to go viral, whether it's true or not. It goes viral and it starts to misinform people, you know. So
and that's another thing that's different today, is that you can go about your day, you can live your life without ever confronting the other side's perspective, right? You get all your news from one or two or three sources, all from the same point of view. Your social media algorithms are all sending you stuff that you want to hear, right? You know, you're out there. People are out there searching for affirmation, not information, right?
Right.
And so we live in a world where you really never have to go outside your bubble, and that's definitely different than even, you know, say the 90s, right? Where no matter what, you were going to hear someone else's point of view. Now you can literally not hear anyone else's point of view or the opposite perspective on something. And, you know, if you believe Trump lost, then all of your social media feeds and all the places where you go to watch news, that's what they're going to tell you. Right. And you never have to confront the truth that he lost. You know,
I mean, there's still people that think right now he's still president and that he's working out of his office. I mean, but and then again, you have that personality that continues to feed that bullshit, and then it continues to fuel that fire. And you know, I mean, Pete, we can go on and on about that, and I don't want to lose our focus, man, because politics is something that just, it'll fire me up and fire both of us up. And then next thing you know, our stuff might become sound bites and bite us in the ass later. So so let's get back to the middle here and go back to to Peter, the writer, the producer, the publisher. I know that you published. I know back when we were in the college days, Regal magazine. That was pretty dope. Magazine. Share with us what was the inspiration on that.
Well, again, it was this idea that we needed to get the experience that Latinos were going through in college, and we wanted to celebrate that and tell those stories. So I partnered with my fraternity, Sigma Lambda Beta, and they were they helped us really kind of provide the lens through which we wanted to view the college experience, and that was parties and the different cultural aspects of it, but also what are the different things that college students are interested in, and that got us into pop culture, that got us into kind of a lot of serious issues, into travel. So, college is an interesting time because it's where your tastes that are going to be your tastes for the rest of your life are formed, right? And so we thought that was a real fertile ground, and the fraternity was a fantastic partner. And we did it. It was a national publication. We were distributed in Barnes and Nobles for about 4 issues.
Yeah.
We got Mana on a cover, we got RBD on a cover, we got Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame tight end on a cover. So we got some really big names and some really big people. It did really well. The problem was we launched it at a time when the publishing industry was in a nosedive, and then 2008 hit, and we sort of missed the boat. And me as a publisher, I learned a very important lesson, and that is that you have to go online. I was really adamant at the time that no, this needs to be on newsstands. Latino students, Latino kids, and need to see this on newsstands next to all the other publications. And so I resisted going online, because I thought that was kind of a downshift, and it was But I learned a hard lesson. That you gotta adapt, and you have to figure out what the next medium is, and you got to figure out how to thrive on it. So, publishing, printing costs went sky high, and it just became unviable as a business venture. And so, unfortunately, we had to wrap it up. But it was while it lasted, and producing that magazine were some of the happiest days of my life, just working in the room with other writers and with other creators, and approving the graphic design work, and going on interviews, and kind of really interviewing some fascinating people I got to interview for the magazine. So it was a great time.
Yeah. Well, it definitely was great reading. And those times for me, man, back in the day, college days were just an exciting time to be going through. I mean, I gotta say, I think our generation, well, I'm gonna say it because I just, that's my thought, is that our generation was probably one of the last generations to really have a great upbringing, a good, just good fun time. There was our way of social media was going to the malls on the weekend, or going to house parties, or it was just a different time, a different mindset. But at the same time, the generation before us also had a different version of growing up, different, so every generation is going to be different. Obviously, it's right. It's the way of life, and part of things, the evolution of life. But I just think that our era was one of many influences. I mean, it's crazy, Pete, to look at some of the things that are coming out, some of the music that's repopulating, or that's resurfacing. Some of the tactics, some of the dress code, or the people that are the way they're dressing now. It's like, oh man, that's the stuff that we were doing when we were kids, and they think it's off the hook. I mean, when I look at these little young bucks, I'm like, man, I go, if you only knew. But again, right. We got to continue to just keep pressing forward, and be able to share. Like what I do with my show here. I look at my show as a platform and as a way to share my experiences, our experiences, and then to bring things, bring experiences like yours. I mean, to think that you've published, you've produced shows, you continue to write, things that have the potential of making big impacts, and the fact that you've been recognized worldwide. With your script, I mean, that script was off the charts. I mean, we still got to work on that, and now that again the world has I don't want to say reopened, but that which is crazy, because it just feels like there's something coming right around the corner. They're just setting us up for what's around the corner, but maybe it's going to be a different version. Actually, it's not even a maybe. It's going to be a different version of 2020. It just seems like they're teeing it up right now, but. Now that things are opening up and allowing us to have that freedom and that ability to go and work on some of the things that were pre-2020, man, I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can really develop your script, and then continue to see how it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we do go back to doing a live award show, even with the. If you guys decide to even go that route, I mean, it might might be a different version of it now that we've seen what Zoom has done. The world has changed as well with Zoom.
It has, and it's a combination of adapting, but also sticking to your core principles, right? We like in my case, we still want to tell stories. We still want to do it in a high quality way. It just sometimes the medium changes, I think for you, it's the same, but I know there's a craving for more detox parties, brother. I know those are going to come back at some point.
I know for a fact.
You can't do those virtually,
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, look what's happened when Vegas reopens its doors. All of a sudden, it turns into it like nothing ever happened. It's and actually, it's come back with even more. They become more powerful. I mean, with an impact. I mean, they're off the charts. I'm looking at some of my friends that are doing big concerts and events, and they're selling out. So people definitely appreciate getting out. So that's why I'm thinking in my mind when 2022 comes around and we kick off the HENAC Awards for 2022, I believe the attendance is just going to go through the roof. People are definitely going to want they're craving to get out and want to explore. So I think that definitely I'm looking forward to that. And then again, it's going to give you more experiences, more content to be able to put out,
Yeah, and that's the magic word. It's content. It's as it's intellectual property, right? If you're thinking anybody out there who is a aspiring entrepreneur, a writer, or anybody just has an idea for something, you have to produce something. You have to, and that's one thing I learned early. Nobody buys ideas. People steal ideas, and that's everywhere. You have to produce something. You have to produce an app. You have to produce a script. You have to produce a business, a food truck, whatever it is. You just can't have this amazing idea and go out and sell that idea. You have to produce something.
That's right.
And that's another thing I learned with my script. I could have gone to every director in the world with an idea about doing the show for about the Spanish conquest of the Aztecs, but nobody would listen to me, let alone work with me. If they liked the idea, they would go on their own and get someone else to write it and do it themselves. And so I had to write that script. I had to develop that series.
Yeah. And how is that coming along? By the way, I mean, I know you touched on it, but are we getting any bites? What's the game plan for something like that?
We're getting a lot of bites, but no one's chewing. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
I'm learning. Hollywood is its own world, just like Silicon Valley is its own world, just like real estate development is its own world, just like everything's got its own rules of the game. And Hollywood is it's a very it's one of those industries that's easy to get your foot into, but it's hard to get into the door completely. And so I've had a lot of interest. I've worked with a couple different production houses on developing it. We got really close with developing it as an adult animation series, and we got a couple of pitch meetings on that. I was working with a really accomplished director to develop it even further into something pitchable, and so that's kind of still in progress. So it's tough, brother. It's really tough, and especially me. I'm a first-time showrunner, as it were, first-time scriptwriter, screenwriter, and so. As all first-time screenwriters know, there's this gray area you get into where agents don't want to work with you until you sell something,
right?
But you can't really sell something until you have an agent. So that's just one of those things about Hollywood, and that's just how it works. And I'm not complaining about it. I'm just in this gray area. Everybody is in this gray area who wants to be a writer at some point, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to do what I can to get out of purgatory. So what I decided to do is turn it into a podcast. So, I have a dramatic series, that's kind of fiction, but based on history, kind of like, I don't know, like Vikings or something like that along those lines, that kind of a show. And is that you or is that me? Anyway,
no. bro, if I only told you wouldn't believe me, man. It's all good.
Oh, good. So what I'm going to do is do a history podcast and do it about the clash between the Spanish and the Aztec empires, and kind of tell that in a 3-part podcast and put that out there, and then hopefully that can drum up some interest and get the attention of some people who can kind of move the football down the field a little bit. But that's just the latest idea to try to get some traction. But that's it, man. This is I'm too deep into this. It has to work, and so I'm going to try everything I can to make it work and to get somebody's attention that can move this and help get this story onto the screen somewhere.
Well, it's just it's part of being an entrepreneur as well. You know, we don't give up until we make our dream come true, and it just is what it is. We got to do whatever it takes to get it to that level, and we got to use all of our resources. This is when we really have to look back at all the people that we've made an impact on, and people that have been a part of our network. And because we were so out there all the time, meaning we had an extensive network, we have a mass we have a very wide range of people that we can tap into to have this to get these opportunities going. So yeah, totally. It's crazy. So is it fair to say that that's what you're currently working on right now?
Yeah, that's going to come out shortly. Maybe as soon as Friday. I have it's called the Intellectual Brutality Network, and my plan is to produce a bunch of different podcasts. And I want to work with other people who have ideas on podcasts and help them develop it and give them a platform to put it out. So it'll be on Spotify right off the bat, and then we'll see about Apple Music and some other places. But once it's out, that'll be hopefully the first step towards getting some traction. And as you know, with Smoke and Mirrors, that's the first step, right? You gotta, like we said earlier, you gotta publish something. You gotta put something out there. You gotta get some IP, some intellectual property, and then you can go leverage that into different projects. So, I got the script. I have what they call the show Bible, which is a description of every episode, a description of every season, a description of every character, and every show has a show Bible. And so all those components I have in place, and so now this is the next step. To try to build some public awareness of what I'm trying to do, hopefully some traction and some interest. And anybody who likes long form podcasts, this is kind of going to be in that tradition, hour and a half, 2 hour episodes. And hopefully it takes off. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you got to keep going. In order to find out, we got to just keep trying and see what sticks, man. And count me in and letting me know how I can help you and using my network to help expand that dream, because you just never know that thing could be the next big thing, man. It's just taking chances, man. Peter, you've known me for years, man. You've seen the peaks and valleys of in life that I've taken, and I'm nonstop, man. There's moments where I'm flying high, and things are going great, and then there's moments where you're just like, what the heck just happened, So, and then, but those are the moments when you're coming down is when you're realizing you're learning, because you don't learn when you're on top. You learn when you're coming down. You're learning, why am I coming down? And then what can I do to not be in that position again? And then how can I make it better? Just like wealthy people, they can lose it all, but then they can regain it all back. And then they just learn how to maintain it longer, because there might be another downfall and so forth. So just interesting stuff, man. And, I just, again, appreciate the fact that we've been friends for so many years, and we've been able to share some great stories and experiences and look back, and say, damn, look from where we're at. I mean, I look at pictures of us, man. We're like, damn, we were kids back then, man. Oh, man. So anyway, so a couple other things. I as I'm going on my list of things that I wanted to talk to you about, community. I know community is a big thing in you. And aside from the event production stuff, anything specifically that you do to give back to community or to your community?
Yeah, two things primarily. I'm on the board of the East Los Angeles YMCA, the One East YMCA, and that's been a labor of love in my life for about the last 13 years. It's been a very difficult year for the YMCA, specifically our YMCA, because they basically, once the shutdown happened, the staff there had to flip the entire focus of the Y overnight from a gym and offering programs and services to the community to basically a food bank and an essential services bank. And so they became, and we're still doing it. We're still supplying bags of food and essential supplies to people around Boyle Heights and East LA. That's been the why the last year and a half. So it's been tough year. It's been a tough year, but we've been able to help raise money for the Y. The YMCA gets a lot of grants and has some internal funding from LA Metro and nationally, but a big chunk of our operating budget comes from our own internal fundraising. And so, you've helped us with that too. We brought Stedman in to one of our big banquets, and that helped us raise a lot of money. And that
was fun, man. That was actually our last event. That was 2019 that we did that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Actually, 2019, and I remember teeing up. 2020 was going to be an amazing year, full of great opportunities and things. And man, it was tough, Pete. It was tough, but we have to pivot. It's like a show, man. It was just a 52-week long show that had some pretty brutal. It was just brutal all across the board. It was just so brutal to deal with, what happened. But 2021 lined up, and we were able to regain some footing. But we're in 2022, we're gonna have to repivot ourselves again, and that's part of why I'm putting the show. I got 5 more episodes left, and really what I'm doing is I'm winding it down. It kind of fell into perfect timing because as people have now are not required to be sheltered in place. They're not glued to the to their home computers. Obviously they're working at home, but they're getting out more. But we have to pivot ourselves, and I have some ideas that how I'm going to continue to build the show and continue to share information across all the different platforms that I'm on. But
yeah, and the big question we don't know the answer to is what's the demand going to be? So we know the pandemic has required a lot of shifts. And a lot of changes, but how much of that is going to go back? We don't know. It could be a little bit, could be a lot. Nobody really knows. And so we're all going to be adjusting, like you said, for the next year.
Yeah, and potentially, we were talking about a couple things the other day, and we were comparing notes. The last time that there was this kind of crazy pandemic was the Spanish flu, right? And they said that it took about 3 to 4 years of adjustments before things started to change. So if you follow history, it's almost like history is repeating itself. It's like, is it going to be 3 to 4 years of adjustments? What's really going to happen here? Interestingly enough. So I'm in my mind, I'm already preparing that this is going to be a long term change. Of sort, there's going to be a lot of pivoting that's going to be required of us.
Yes, some things aren't going to go back. Like I think, everybody's been using Uber Eats and Grubhub. I think those kind of things will continue. But I think you are going to go back to live events. Like you said, there's a craving for it, but I think people are going to be a lot pickier. Mm-hmm. Also, people have a lot more money saved up right now. And so you're going to see a lot more high ticket items, maybe big ticket concerts as opposed to a bunch of little concerts. So I don't know. All those kind of things we got to factor in as the world emerges into whatever it's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, I got a little taste of it over the weekend. We did our first Silicon Valley pop-up. And interestingly enough, it was sold out and people wanted to get out. And so the first one, was kind of like, oh, let's try it out. Well, the second one coming up that we're programming, the price just went up. Supply and demand, baby. I was like, oh, people have it. So I saw business opportunity there, and I'm working with the producer of that pop-up, and now we're just gonna develop it and grow. The other thing I was working, last night we had a conversation with Ron Reeser. Remember Ron Reeser, DJ Ron Reeser?
Yeah.
He used to do the big show, the Atlantis and the Metropolis back in the day. And we talked about doing some shows. We wanted to do it on the grand scale, and I'm like, no, maybe we should go boutique style and start doing these micro festivals versus these big massives, and really start to build a name for it. So a lot of things are changing, Pete, and it's going to be interesting to see what you and your team do when you guys again bring back the HENAC Awards. And by the way, I would think that it'd be a great idea to kind of co-brand it where they do America's Got Talent, bro, in Pasadena, because people know that building, and if you kind of co-brand it subliminally, right? Like, you know, you can put it out in social media. It's the home of America's Got Talent. It might be might be something that'll be able to give you a draw, because I imagine the people that have never been in the same stage, like, oh man, the energy that's on that stage.
Oh yeah.
And then to see that.
You remember we got to use their set.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was great to see all the X's that were all lifted. You know, obviously everything is in house now, but you know, that might be a great tool to you know, for marketing purposes, to be able to bring when you bring it back in 2022. So, you know, possibly again, you know, just an idea to throw out there, and then maybe do a hybrid of, you know, the people that can't make it, that they can zoom in for the weekend, you know, and buy their ticket online, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how this year's, because this year you guys are doing it virtual, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be virtual. We're gonna try to do some live components to it. Last year it was all kind of a prepackaged award show, but this year we want to kind of do some live feeds along with the prepackaged stuff about all the winners and the presenters. So we'll see. It's gonna be fun.
Well, good. Last question here. Like, what's the future hold for Peter? Your congratulations again. You're a new father.
Yeah.
What, 4 months, right? 4 months old.
4 months old, and she's already going on 16.
Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna have your hands full. And you're not thinking of having another baby, are you? Because with your luck, bro, you're gonna have another girl. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I know, probably. Yeah, we want one more, and we don't want to wait too long before we try to have one. So that'll be probably coming sooner rather than later. Right. And it's
we don't need to know all the details, bro. We're good. I love Monica, bro, but you know. No. But hey, again, congratulations, and you know, I'm excited. I could just imagine and see the smiles on your father and your mother. I love both your parents. They're amazing human beings. Your sisters too. You know, I'm sure everyone in the family is enjoying the baby, and then of course, you know, I always tell you got like the perfect setup. You got the dog, the family dog. You got the marriage. You guys have been married for a while. You know, you got the career going. Your wife is successful. Is she still working on her project? I know that her thing was growing some legs, man. I hope that COVID. Well, I know it might have had an effect, but I know that her company was definitely ready for a launch.
Yeah, Dataplore, they're still growing. You know, COVID was interesting for them. It sort of proved to people kind of how valuable the services that they're offering is, right?
Oh, yeah,
they can get data down to the micro level in some of these emerging markets that other companies miss. But it also kind of, you know, it also kind of stalled some of the projects that they had going. Oh. But all that's coming back online, so she's busier than ever. And they're you know, they got some big things coming up, and so we'll see. I think her project's going to hit probably a lot sooner than any of mine hit, but we're both supporting each other best we can, and kind of have this new life that's such a blessing, but also you know, a new challenge, a new chapter, but one we both embrace. So
good. Well, good luck and you know, on working on baby number 2 as well, if you guys decide to go down that path. Uncle Mauricio over here definitely has got your back, bro. Don't worry, we'll make it happen. You know, I told my sister, because she just had a baby as well, and it's my first niece, and I already told my sister, I'm like, she's already a millionaire and she doesn't even know it, because everything I have, I'm just gonna leave it for her. Done. You know, I'm just it's just amazing. She's just got such a great personality. So anyhow, so to wrap it up, future for you, what are you going to really focus on? I mean, we got 6 months left, less than 6 months left in 2021. How are we going to finish this year, and what are we looking at for 2022?
For me, I would. My dream is to be a screenwriter. My dream is to write and write scripts for some of these stories that I want to tell. Some are very personal. Some are just stories that I want to see told about other Latinos and other people from our community and in our community. These are global stories, I think, that resonate with a lot of people. They're just not getting told, and so that's what I would like to transition to. But you know, it's one of those things where you gotta crack into it first, and you gotta just keep pounding. And so in the meantime, I have to make a living. I have I have to
Yeah.
pay bills, as it were, and me and my wife have personal goals about more kids and a home and kind of starting to think about retirement, all those kind of things. And so that has its own set of reality. So, I'm not 22, 23 anymore where I can go pour as a writer just to try to kind of make it. I have to have a very narrow path that I try to toe. But that's not an excuse. That's just the rules, and that's just where I've put myself, and it's all my I take full blame and responsibility for this position that I'm in. But that's where it's at. But that's where I'm headed. Hopefully, we'll see if I get there.
Well, it's what we it's all what we have to do, and that's why every decision, every move that we make at this point in our lives has to be strategic. I always share with my team, we got 10 targets, 10 bullets. We can't afford to miss any, because then we become a target. So it's part of the motivation. You got to self-motivate yourself internally. You got to create that fuel, that rocket fuel, so that it launches you and takes you to that next level. And you got to continue to feed yourself, and not go down any rabbit holes where it can affect our mindset. So health is definitely a key factor, and then and then having a balance, and balance is going to be tough, because the world tugs at us in different directions, and so we have to continuously stay strong, and by that we have to keep ourselves healthy and keep a healthy mind. So anyhow, Peter, really quick, man, if people want to get a hold of you or want to learn more about what you do, where can people get a hold? Because I know we have here the Melcom.com as a way to get a hold of, to learn more about what you're doing. But anything specific that where people can get a hold of you? Do you have a website for yourself?
You can check out Intellectual Brutality. That's kind of my next project. The site's up, but the podcast hasn't been loaded yet. So, but that'll give you an idea of what I'm trying to do with this new podcast network. But yeah, Malcolm.com is kind of just an overview of what I do and what my company does, and give you a little bit of a better insight into how I've tried to take all of my skills and my interests and form that into something like a company.
Yeah,
that actually does some good work. When I'm able. So.
Well, definitely let me know when you launch your podcast, and if you have any promotional materials, just send them my way. I'll put it through our network, and we'll get things going, man. So, other than that, Peter, let me ask you. I always ask my guests this. As growing up, the way you've grown up, as an entrepreneur, as a person that has experienced life and where you're at today, what is some words of encouragement or words of inspiration that you can share with our audience out there that's watching?
You just got to show up. You just got to keep going. Everybody fails. If you're not failing, you're not trying. I know that's cliche, but I failed all the time.
Yeah, you gotta fail forward, man. Got to fail forward.
But and I think in my specific case, like I said, I was able to figure out what I was good at. And then the challenge has been figuring out how to make a living out of that and kind of do the things I want to do and create a life that I love out of that. But I think that's, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to admit that you failed. Be kind to people. Work with, be somebody who other people say, I like working with that person. Don't be too worried about impressing people or showing people how smart you are. Show people how kind you are and how good of a team player you are. And when the time comes to shine, then let others shine their light on you and don't try to hog it.
That's right. I've learned that from my mentor, Ray Reese. There was I've learned that, you got to boast about yourself too, because if not, somebody else might not do it. So sometimes you got to do it for yourself. But like you said, you can't hot dog it all the time. You can't be the only one that boasts. Yeah. You gotta let others boast for you. So
another thing I learned is, you want to be in a room of other successful people.
That's right.
And you never want to be the most successful people in the room. I've heard the saying before, if you're the most successful person in the room, you better find another room, uh, because that's how you get content. That's how you get stuck. But always try to grow. Never be afraid to jump into a room if you're not the most successful person. Just make sure you go in there with the mindset that you're going to learn. People who and I think you and I had this gift, and I think we realized this early on. We were able to recognize talent, and we were able to work with talented people. You and I might not have been, good DJs ourselves. Actually, we were terrible DJs, but we were able to find super talented DJs around us. Super talented promoters. We knew people who knew the business, and so our gift was sort of putting it all together. But we were never afraid to hire people more talented than us at something.
No, that's a fact, man, right there. That is 100%. I never wanted to be the DJ either. It was too, right. I didn't have the patience to be sitting behind a turntable, and I wanted to be in the mix. I wanted to be moving around and being, I wanted to shake hands, give hugs, and welcome everyone, and really just, be the social butterfly or the social mayor of the events. You
remember how much time we spent designing flyers on all those on TypeStyle and all those free softwares that don't exist anymore.
Man!
But then once we got connected with Monochrome and a lot of these places down in LA, it was like, dude, done. I don't need to design flyers anymore.
I'm not interested. It was like it would mash. I felt like my brain was mashed potato after one of those sessions. I was like, it was just not in me. It was not. I knew what I wanted, so I gave we gave the artist a direction. But man, when it came down to the patience, it was just like, I don't have the patience to learn it. I don't want to learn it. I want to just produce.
Well, and then you learn, but you also learn other people are just better at it.
Yeah.
And it just made more sense to let them do their thing and be great at that one component, and then you plug it into the bigger picture, and everybody gets amplified. So I think that's kind of one of the lessons I've learned is don't be afraid to work with talented people and give them the credit when they deserve it.
Absolutely. Well, good, Peter, man. It's been great. I know that we're already, we've taken an hour of your time and precious time with your baby girl and your family, man. I want to thank you, Peter. We've been again friends for many years. What'd you say? 25 years now? Damn.
96, bro. Yeah.
25. Yeah, that's amazing, man. Not too many people can say they have a friendship like that has lasted that long, and I just want to say thank you very much for all the great years that we've had together, and we've shared, and we've got a lot of stories. We can go on for we can go longer than an hour. We can go up to 5 hours probably just telling stories to people and sharing some of our secrets, but we won't do that tonight. So anyways, man, I want to say thank you tonight. Say hello to Monica, and congratulations again on having an amazing, beautiful baby, and say hello to the dog too, bro. Your dog's got some personality. So.
That's right.
All right, Peter, you have a great evening, and we will follow up, man. And thank you for being on my show tonight. And let me know anything that I could do for you to support on your endeavors. You got me on your corner, my brother.
You got it. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Peter. All right, that was Peter Mellado tonight. I want to say thank you so much for taking time away from his family. Tonight, today was one of those interesting days, man. We finally got a lot of equipment in, so my energy was just kind of like woof woof. I just wanted to really focus in on what my history with Peter, and I got to have an amazing conversation with him tonight, and share some of the things that he's working on and moving forward with. Next week, I have Pastor Scott Wager. It's going to be on my show. We're going to be talking about what he does in the community, specifically here in San Jose, Silicon Valley. We have, we're big advocates of the homeless community, and I know that he's been a big advocate of the homeless community. So I'm looking forward to having him next week here on the show. It's Mauricio Mejia Live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the West Coast and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. I want to say thank you to everyone that got on the show tonight, that said hello, sending me messages. I'll be making sure that after the show, I'll be going back and saying hello and answering to any questions that you guys have had. And again, just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, for the continued support. Mauricio Mejia Live, episode number 25, season number 2. Thank you again, guys.